I'm sorry, ma'am, this is a ticketed event. Parents were expected to RSVP last month. The woman looks past him. Through the double doors. Where rows of parents sit, polished, perfumed, holding programs and filming on phones. She doesn't care about cameras. She just wants to see her son. She's standing outside, heart pounding. She spent her last $20 on a cab just to be here. She doesn't know her son is minutes away from walking on stage. With something that will change everything. Her name is Elena Rivera. She cleans houses by day. Stocks shelves by night. She raised her son, Isaiah, alone since he was 4. No child support. No weekends off. Just 2 jobs, 1 bedroom, and a dream she carried like a second heart. He's going to be more than me. He's going to be seen. But the school never really saw her. Other parents smiled politely. Teachers talked slower, used simpler words. She didn't complain. Didn't speak up. She just worked, and watched. Watched the way Isaiah lit up when he talked about robotics. Watched how his teachers barely acknowledged his ideas. Until the white kids repeated them. Watched him shrink, until she taught him to stand tall again. She wasn't loud. She wasn't rich. She wasn't invited. But she was always there. Except tonight. They kept her out. He doesn't know his mother is outside, crying. Still pleading. Please. I'm his mother. I don't care about the seats. I just want to watch. The guard sighs. I'm just following orders. Elena couldn't afford the field trips. Missed 3 parent-teacher conferences. Once sent Isaiah to school in oversized hand-me-downs from a donation bin. We'll fit in one day, she told him. But even if we don't, we'll still matter. Isaiah did matter. He was the only student in the tech club who coded his own drone flight sequence. He built a prosthetic hand from salvaged printer parts. He stayed after school, cleaned up quietly, never bragged. But nobody mentioned him in the newsletters. No student spotlight. No plaques. Just silence. Until tonight. Tonight, he was the keynote speaker. Backstage, a teacher hands Isaiah a script. Stick to what we wrote, okay? Keep it short. He nods. But inside, he's burning. Because 10 minutes ago, a friend texted him. Your mom's outside. They wouldn't let her in. He's been calm his whole life. Never caused trouble. Never raised his voice. But this? This changed something. He opens the script. Pauses. Then folds it, and sets it aside. Good evening, he says. My name is Isaiah Rivera. And before I say anything else, I want to ask someone to come in. Murmurs. He looks toward the back. Security, if my mom is outside, let her in. She's the reason I'm standing here. Silence. The principal shifts in her seat. Whispers buzz through the crowd. But the guard, a young man, barely older than a college kid, opens the side door. And Elena steps in. Eyes wide. Cheeks red. She's holding a broken purse and her breath. Isaiah smiles. That's her. That's my +1. Applause. It starts slow. Then rises like a wave. He continues. I wasn't born into money. I didn't grow up with gadgets. Or tutors. Or a last name that opens doors. But I had a mom who never let me feel small. Who picked up extra shifts so I could join the robotics club. Who taught me to speak only when it mattered, and tonight, it matters. He picks up the prosthetic hand. Shows it to the crowd. I made this. And next year, I'll be studying biomedical engineering. Because one day, I'm going to help kids who can't afford limbs. Just like we couldn't afford to be here tonight, but we came anyway. His voice cracks. This school didn't see us. But you will now. The crowd is on their feet. Teachers frozen. One parent wipes a tear. Another mutters, "Damn, that kid's brilliant." The principal forces a smile. What a passionate speech. But inside? She knows. They underestimated him. They erased him. And now? The whole city will hear about it. People start asking questions. Comment sections explode. Parents flood the district inbox. One message stands out. "Maybe next time, you should RSVP her first." Backstage, Elena hugs Isaiah. "You didn't have to say all that," she whispers. "I know," he replies. But they needed to hear it. That night, Elena didn't leave through the side door. She walked out the front. Head high. Hand in hand with her son. But just as they get home, her phone buzzes. It's a private number. She answers. A voice says, "Ms. Rivera? This is the admissions committee from Crestmont Academy. We'd like to talk about your son, and a full scholarship. Ms. Rivera, your son Isaiah gave a remarkable speech. We'd like to discuss enrollment, with full financial assistance. Please call us back." She doesn't cry. Not yet. She just leans back in her chair, clutching her phone like it's a lifeline. After years of being ignored, overlooked, and dismissed, someone finally saw her son. And through him, they finally saw her. Crestmont wasn't just any school. It was elite. Private. Known for building future CEOs, scientists, and tech founders. Isaiah had heard of it once, when another kid joked, "They'd never take someone like you." But now? They were calling him. The next morning, Elena packs Isaiah a lunch with actual fresh fruit, not the bruised apples they usually get from the food pantry. It's a small celebration. "Are you nervous?" she asks. "A little," he says. "But I'm ready." He doesn't just mean the interview. He means the world. Isaiah sits across from two admissions officers in suits that probably cost more than Elena's rent. "We've reviewed your test scores," one of them says. "Your STEM record is exceptional." Isaiah nods. He's composed. Then they say, "But we're also curious. What drives you?" He takes a breath. "My mom." Silence. Then he continues. "She doesn't understand coding. But she understands pressure. She taught me how to be still under it. How to push through it. And how to do more, with less." The older officer leans in. "You mentioned a prosthetic hand you designed?" Isaiah pulls a photo from his pocket. Hands it to them. Recycled printer motors. 3D printed joints. Cost under $100. "And you built this, at your school?" "No," he says. "In our kitchen." "Ms. Rivera?" "He's extraordinary. We'll be in touch." She nods. "Thank you for giving him a chance." A week later, the email comes. Accepted. Full academic scholarship. Crestmont class of 2028. Isaiah stares at the screen. Silent. Then he turns to his mom. They don't scream. They don't jump up and down. They just hug. A long, deep hug, the kind that says, "We made it this far. Together." But not everyone is happy. "We're getting pressure from parents," she says. The boy's speech went viral. Now everyone's talking about systemic exclusion. "We're under a microscope." Well, the superintendent replies, "Maybe you should have handled it differently. You don't understand. He exposed us. He made me look incompetent. He told the truth." She hangs up, furious. Then opens a file marked Rivera, Elena, Custodial and Employment Records. What happens when the system can't discredit the child? It comes for the parent. That week, Elena is called into a mandatory meeting with her part-time employer, a cleaning agency that works with local public buildings. We've been told your son made public statements against a district we contract with. Some of our clients are reconsidering. Reconsidering what? She asks. Your assignments. Your fit. Your presence. She's stunned. You're letting me go? Because my son told the truth? The manager shrugs. We can't afford political fallout. Elena walks out without a job. Again. That night, Isaiah finds her at the kitchen sink. Hands trembling. Not from fear. From rage. They're trying to erase you, she says. Because you spoke. Then let's speak louder, he replies. They sit together and draft a letter. To the district. To the media. To every outlet that had posted his video. They include her termination letter, his admission offer, and every document that proved one thing. Success doesn't erase bias. And silence won't protect you. The letter spreads. More parents come forward. One says her daughter was discouraged from joining robotics because it's more of a boy thing. Another shares how her son's test scores were mysteriously misplaced before a gifted program deadline. It wasn't just Elena and Isaiah. It was a pattern. And now? It was public. But just when the movement begins to gain momentum, Elena receives an envelope in the mail. Plain. No return address. Inside? A single sheet. Typed. No signature. It reads. You should be careful how loud you get. Some systems don't like being exposed. The letter wasn't handwritten. No smudges. No signature. Just clean, printed words. The kind used by people who don't want to be found. But Elena had been afraid before. She wasn't anymore. If they're trying to scare us, she said, it means we've already done something right. Elena had never planned to be a fighter. She just wanted to survive. Raise her son. Keep the lights on. Pay rent. Make rice last 3 meals. But something had changed. They could take her job. They could deny her a seat. They could write anonymous threats. But they couldn't erase the truth. That week, Isaiah went back to school, his old public school, one last time. To say goodbye. To grab his things. To walk those halls knowing that the boy they ignored was now the one everyone wanted to be. But as he walked through the cafeteria, he noticed something strange. A flyer, freshly printed, hanging on the bulletin board. Student Recognition Night, featuring top STEM achievements. His name wasn't on it. He walked to the office. Asked politely. Why am I not listed? The secretary looked up nervously. That event is, for current enrollees. Since you've transferred? I'm still enrolled for another 10 days. She avoided eye contact. It was the principal's decision. Isaiah didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just pulled out his phone. Took a photo of the flyer. And posted it with a caption. Denied again. Not for behavior. Not for grades. Just for speaking the truth. It got 10,000 shares in 24 hours. And that was just the beginning. Elena's inbox lit up. Messages from parents. Activists. Even a nonprofit called Voices for Equity in Education. We'd like to help. Tell us what you need. Elena replied with one sentence. Give my son the mic, and I promise the world will hear him. Isaiah stood in front of a small crowd. No suit. No fancy lighting. Just jeans, sneakers, and his truth. My mom raised me with nothing. But she gave me everything. This isn't just about a speech. Or an award. It's about what happens when systems don't expect kids like me to shine, and get mad when we do. A reporter from a major digital outlet was in the audience. By morning, the story had a headline. From janitor's son to STEM star, the kid they tried to silence. The next day, national news picked it up. Her assistant walks in. "You have a call from the superintendent." She answers. "We're in trouble, aren't we?" Silence on the other end. Then, "It's not about trouble anymore. It's about accountability." Meanwhile, Elena receives a certified letter. This time, with a name. From Crestmont Academy Legal Affairs Office. Subject, retaliation, intimidation and misconduct complaint review. Inside is a copy of a formal petition. Signed by over 70 parents, staff, and students. Calling for a full investigation into the district's treatment of Isaiah and Elena. A review of public-private school partnerships. A demand for better representation and anti-bias training. Attached is a note. "Elena, you started something bigger than you know. We stand with you." But as always, progress stirs resistance. One evening, Isaiah receives a DM from a fake account. "You're just another mouthy kid who got lucky. No one's buying your poor boy genius story." He shows it to Elena. She sighs. "They can't argue with your work. So they attack your worth. What do I do?" "You keep building. Let them choke on the future you're creating." He returns to the community center. Begins hosting free STEM classes for low-income kids every Saturday. Dozens show up. Some don't even have backpacks, just borrowed notebooks and big dreams. Isaiah brings his tools, his coding laptop, and his voice. "You don't need approval to be brilliant," he tells them. "You just need one person to believe in you, even if it's only you." The local news returns. They air the segment. The anchor closes with, "Isaiah Rivera, a name we'll be hearing for years." But then, late one night, an email arrives. From an anonymous whistleblower inside the district. Subject line, "For your safety, please read." The message is short. They're building a case. They want to prove Elena misrepresented her income on school forms. If they succeed, you could lose your scholarship. Isaiah looks at his mother. She's asleep on the couch. Still in her work clothes. Still dreaming of a life he hasn't lived yet. He opens his laptop. And begins typing again. The email was real. Anonymous. Precise. And terrifying. They want to prove Elena misrepresented income on Isaiah's school forms. It was retaliation. Simple. Cold. Calculated. Isaiah had worked too hard. Spoken too loudly. So now, they wanted it all undone. Elena was asleep on the couch when Isaiah read it. She didn't know yet. Didn't know the very system that failed to feed him was now trying to call her a fraud for needing help. But Isaiah wasn't afraid. He was angry. And he was ready. The next morning, he told her. Showed her the email. At first, she just stared. Then whispered. "I've always told the truth." He nodded. "And that's why they won't win. They're trying to invalidate your son's scholarship by saying you didn't disclose something years ago. But we can fight this." "We will fight it," Isaiah adds. They gather every document. Every paycheck stub. Food stamp notification. School lunch waiver. They build a timeline. Not of a lie. But of survival. The legal clinic files a motion. Requests a public hearing. And Isaiah? He makes a choice. To testify on behalf of his mother. He steps up to the microphone. "My mom didn't lie. She just didn't give up. When she couldn't afford the field trips, she found YouTube videos to teach me geography. When we didn't have a car, we walked 4 miles to the library. When people told her she didn't belong, she just kept showing up." The room is quiet. Even the judge leans in. "And when I finally got a scholarship?" She celebrated like we'd won the lottery. Because in her heart, we had. Then Elena speaks. Quietly. But clearly. I didn't know the rules. I only knew my boy was smart. And I wanted him to be somewhere he could shine. The judge reviews the files. Looks up. The facts speak for themselves. There is no evidence of fraud. Only resilience. Scholarship stands. Case closed. Tears. From Elena. From Isaiah. From the young paralegal who helped them for free. They didn't just win a case. They won a message. That being poor isn't a crime. That being underestimated doesn't mean you're undeserving. That the truth, when spoken boldly, echoes further than any threat ever could. 1 year later. Isaiah walks across the stage at Crestmont Academy. He's the youngest to win the Innovators of the Future award. Elena is front row. Holding her phone sideways. Wearing the same blazer. But now? She's a speaker herself. Invited to share her story at educational equity conferences. She ends her talk with the same line she told Isaiah when they had nothing. You don't need a seat at their table. Build your own table. And make room for those they always leave behind. Final montage. Elena leading a parents' advocacy group. Isaiah teaching kids to code at summer camp. Newspaper headline. From janitor's son to justice warrior, Isaiah Rivera and his mom changed the game. They called her invisible. They tried to silence her son. But when they took her job, her voice, and nearly her future, she raised a boy who stood taller than all their ceilings. Because sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can be, is a mother with nothing left to lose, raising a child who finally knows his worth. Subscribe for more true-to-life stories of survival, truth, and transformation. New episodes every week. Anonymous voices. Unforgettable courage.